It's bad for the environment, it's bad for products, it's bad for everything except for corporate profit.
금융 자유와 시장 개방과 민영화로 누가 이익을 얻습니까?
Who benefits from the privatization? Who benefits from the opening of markets? Who benefits from financial deregulation?
그것은 바로 소수의 자본과 기득권층입니다.
It is only a small minority of capitalists who benefit from these things.
아직 세계 경제 위기가 끝나지 않은 이 시기에 왜 이러한 협정을 맺어야 합니까?
At such a time as this, when we still have yet to overcome the financial crisis, do we want a trade agreement that will further deregulate financial markets?
한미 FTA 반대 투쟁은 한국 민중의 문제뿐만 아니라 미국의 민중이 함께 싸울 때 가능해집니다.
The Korea-US Free Trade Agreement will not be brought down by the forces of the Korean people alone, nor by the forces of the American people alone, but by the unity and solidarity of our peoples working together to bring this trade deal down. When President Obama was running his presidential campaign, he made a lot of promises. He made a lot of promises to the American working poor, to the unions, to the farmers, saying that things would be different, saying that he would not forget his promises, that there would be different kind of trade agreements, not the NAFTA deals. We are here today because we are here to tell Ms. Pelosi, our President Obama, that you might have forgotten your promises. It's a shame that the Democratic Party that makes promises forgets its promises. Nancy Pelosi, President Obama, we will not give up this fight for fairness, for justice and fair trade agreements.
In Mexico, we know clearly what these trade agreements are about. They demolish our communities in Mexico. They drive us off the land. They drive us into cities and across the borders. And when we come to these borders, the question that is asked is, or what we're told in effect, is if we can make money off you, then you can come in. And if we can't make money off you, stay out. They are schemes to move manufacturing jobs abroad, to smash the labor move and weaken the labor movement here, right? To drive the wages down throughout the world and to maximize profits that aren't shared. That our political leaders don't speak for us and they stand for nothing. They are pawns of the rich. They do what they're told. And then they tell us lie after lie. Shut them down! Shut these industries down! If they won't listen to us, if they won't give us the kind of agreement to protect our health, shut them down! And how do we do so? Peacefully, right? No! We occupy the plants! We occupy the workplaces! We occupy the communities!
We're united here today to demand Representative Pelosi and other members of Congress to vote against the Korea-US Free Trade Agreement. This agreement is extremely detrimental to laborers, farmers, the environment, and the Korean healthcare system. We refuse to stand idly by as Congress passes yet another massive Bush-era free trade agreement that will devastate the working class people in Korea and the U.S.
This last summer I went on a program to Korea and we met with several farmers who shared their struggles and difficulties with selling the rice that they grew. And they told me that this free trade agreement would make it next to impossible to make a living, and asked me in my capacity as a U.S. citizen and someone who has the advantage of having access to my government to do my best to fight against this agreement, which is tantamount to a death sentence to farmers in Korea. People in the U.S. and Korea say,
Down, down, FTA!
People in the U.S. and Korea say,
Down, down, FTA!
People in the U.S. and Korea say,
Down, down, FTA!
One more time. People in the U.S. and Korea say,
Down, down, FTA!
Well, we're often told that free trade is going to lift all boats, but looking at the details of this agreement, looks like the boats that are going to be lifted the most are going to be people who are out there stranded in storms and floods and hurricanes and all the effects of climate change. It's those rescue rafts that are going to be lifted, because what we're seeing in this agreement is it's going to increase the emissions that are causing climate change. What the U.S. auto manufacturers got as one of the details of this dirty deal is dumbing down Korea's clean air laws and their emissions regulations for clean air vehicles in Korea. There are many bad problems with these deals. IFG is here because we wanted people to know that the work that we've done over the years has been to point out the details of these deals and how they promote the corporate interest. And what we see right here is very clearly how that interest is coming at the expense of people not only in Korea, not only in the U.S., but around the world. So let's stop this deal and let's make better trade policy in the U.S.
The American people are opposed to these NAFTA-type agreements. One of the things that we learned from NAFTA was sold to the American people that it was going to make things better for people in Mexico and people in the United States. The reality is the opposite. NAFTA has hurt the people of Mexico. Millions are being thrown out of work. Farmers have been kicked off their lands. The industry has been privatized. Unions have been busted in Mexico. The government has called in the army to break unions in Mexico, and workers are in jail in Mexico. This is under the auspices of NAFTA. That's a free trade agreement which was supposed to help people. The deregulation of the Korean economy has harmed workers and farmers. Farmers have committed suicide. Workers are in jail today in Korea. And people should understand they don't have democratic rights in Korea. The Korean trade unions' offices have been raided by the police, and you know what they raided them for? They said the Korean teachers were lobbying against legislation. In other words, it's illegal for the Korean teachers to lobby for legislation. Is this democracy?
No!
Is this the kind of country we want to have a free trade agreement with?
No!
But we can say that Congresswoman Nancy Pelosi, Senator Boxer, Senator Feinstein, NAFTA-type agreements have not benefited the working people of this country. NAFTA-type agreements have hurt the workers of Mexico and the workers of the United States, and we do not want a similar type agreement that will hurt the people of this country and hurt the people in Korea. Our enemies are the multinationals who push these free trade agreements to destroy workers on all sides of the border.
I actually had the privilege of going as part of a delegation to South Korea to be in solidarity with the workers' movement, and I was in the streets with hundreds of thousands of workers who have been leading one of the most militant and courageous worker struggles in the world. And I know the entire world saw Korean workers march through the streets of New York a few years ago opposing free trade agreements. We all watched in the WTO when Korean workers put on life vests to swim and catch the corporate giants that were trying to keep workers away. And that kind of militancy, that kind of creativity is the inspiring leading edge of the workers' movement right now in the world. Long live international solidarity! Long live international solidarity! Long live international solidarity!
Like any other bill that comes from Congress, like budgets, we as people of faith view that as a moral document. It's a moral document in the sense that it tells us what kind of things we value as a community. Where do we put our priorities? And free trade agreements like this is also a moral document in the sense that it tells us how we value workers, how we value working families. And from where we stand, from the various religious traditions, I can safely say that this free trade agreement with Korea, like NAFTA, is an immoral document. This free trade agreement will cost American jobs. It also violates the rights of workers to organize in Korea. It demeans the solidarity between workers. It seeks, of course, to give free passage of capital into Korea. And this is a free pass for big corporations to grow their profits. And again, from the standpoint of faith, we say that people should come before profits. And we gather here today, and this fight against the Korea Free Trade Agreement that the U.S. has signed is only symbolic of our desire for genuine change in society. And unless this economic system falls down,
there will be no justice in our land. Our enemy is this economic system that has victimized every working person.
That's right.
Our enemy is capital that seeks to flow into every country at the expense of the dignity of every working person. But unless this economic system falls, there will be no justice in this land.
That's right.
But we take hope. We take hope. The fight will be hard and long, but then we will succeed. Eventually justice will succeed and will triumph. Only if the working class will stand together. When people and communities stand together. When people across nations stand together, across borders, and declare that we are human beings, we deserve dignity and respect, and any agreement that tramples on this is immoral and should be done away with. Amen.
Yeah!